Greetings all you maniacs of minds on our crimes, and today I am going to be doing the part 2 of my own Avali rewrite. Now, if you are a hardcore Avali fan and this somehow offends you that I am rewriting their lore, cheer up, calm down. Like, seriously, this is just one fan's, uh, version of it. Like, just calm down. Anyway, today we are going to be discussing the politics of not only the Avali Illuminate, but also the Milky Way galaxy as a whole, and I'm going to be bringing in two other major civilizations into this. So, let's get started. The Avali Illuminate. This is basically the big superpower when it comes to Avalon and part of the Milky Way where the Avali are. The Avali Illuminate is basically the big government body, and its flag, the tri-feather, has, a bit of a meaning here, that the three feathers all represent something. It represents the civil, just like in the original lore, it represents the civilian, exploratory, and military side of the Avali Illuminate. The civilian is obviously the civilian part, where it's mostly on Avalon. This covers everything from food to civilian power to civilian workforce, all of that. So if you're an average civilian on Avalon, you are technically under the, Avali Illuminate civilian sector. Something like that. I don't think it would call the civilian sector. I think it would be called something else, just, the civilian workforce. The average Joe Schmo. The next is the exploratory force. Now, the exploratory force is the Avali that are going around the galaxy or in a small sector of the galaxy. I don't know if they would be able to go all over the galaxy. Maybe they would be able to, depending on what warp drives they have. But yeah, this is basically the exploratory people. The ones that are out in space most of the time, exploring the galaxy, communicating with other civilizations. If the Avali do that, it's very possible that they don't really, but might find it necessary every now and then to work alongside some people. This would also be the people responsible for asteroid mining, which would bring a lot of resources back to Avalon for construction on basically everything, from common household homes and household appliances to spaceships and weapons. Everything. So, the exploratory force, the Avalon Exploratory Force, AEF, would be very, very important. You could also say faction and not force. It would still be the AEF, faction or force. Anyway, then the third feather is the military, the ADF, Avalon Defense Force. This is the force that is responsible for, defending Avalon in the case of an attack. And I assume they would have some troopers stationed on some of the AEF ships just to make sure that all the operations run smoothly and no one gets hurt or killed, because that'd be bad. You would definitely want to have some heavily armed guards if you're going to a planet under turmoil or, any sort of other hostile conditions like really dangerous wildlife, etc. And also to protect from space pirates. So that's basically the Avali Illuminate. I'm sure there'd be some other small little sectors that you could discuss in great detail. And also, there might be other government bodies, not just the Avali Illuminate, that the Avali would follow and all that, but the Avali Illuminate are the big ones. It's the big, big one. So, now we're moving on to another species that I would love to see work alongside the Avali, and there would be absolutely no reason why they wouldn't. I am, of course, talking about the Protogens and the Primogens. I'm bringing these boys in here, and I'm going to be calling them the Zenithians, just to give them a blanket term. So the Zenithian Organized Republic. The Zor. You could also say, wait a minute, the Zor's already a thing in their lore, the Zenith Outer Reach. Yes. It's both. Technically. I know, really weird, but whatever. You could also say it might also be called the Zog Zenith Organized Government or Galactic Government. But Anyway, I think that the Zenithians, the Protogens, Primogens, and everyone else that are under their flag would be the dominant superpower in the galaxy. Think about it. The Zenithians, as far as I know, are an intergalactic species. They have the best tech, the fastest warp drives, and the most people in their, republic, in their government. Because, quite literally, they make more civilians. So, there's a very large amount of protogens and primogens. So, there is that. Also, these creatures live for a very long time. Protogens live on average for like 500 years or more, and primogens live for whatever, like 2,000 years. So it would make sense that they're the dominant superpower. But just because they're a dominant superpower in the galaxy doesn't mean they're malicious or anything. I think they would have a very hands-off approach when it comes to governing everybody. They basically leave people to their own devices and only get involved if something really bad is about to happen. Like, say, two civilizations are going to war. I don't think they would want that. But anyway, so the Zenithians would obviously have contacts with the Avali. I mean, it's inevitable. They see these, this new civilization running around, going all over the galaxy, or a small part of the galaxy, and they would definitely be like, oh, hi. So that's that. But the Avali Luminite, I don't think would merge with the Zor. I think they would stay very independent. And I think the Zor would be like, sure, okay, you do that. It's fine. We don't really care, but if you need us, we're here. So, what about the third species I'm talking about? Well, it's us. Humanity. Why am I dragging humans into this? Well, I think it would only be inevitable that humanity would, because of these alien species running around, and especially the Avali, they probably would have access to higher tech. So here's how I think it would go down. The Zenithians would probably have some record of Earth. I mean, they would have been traveling the Milky Way for eons at this point. And they would probably know that Earth is probably going to, be a major power one day with the humans. They'll evolve and, have all this tech and stuff. So the Zenithians would check up on Earth every now and then, and it just so happens that one day they check up on Earth, and, Earth is basically like it is right now in the 2020s. Really high, considerable tech, all that. The planet's under turmoil, all that. I don't want to get into politics, even though I am talking about politics, but I'm talking about alien politics, which is okay, and fictional politics. Anyway, so the Zenithians' first sort of quote-unquote contract to the Avali Illuminite, is go meet the humans. Not in large numbers right now, just a few of the different species, and the humans would be notified of this. So it would be all set up. So a representative of the Avali would be a representative of humanity on the ISS. I don't think it would really happen on anywhere else. The ISS seems the most likely, and I don't think the Avali would want a human on their ships. Not yet, anyway. Trust has to be built first, and they don't want to show them all the really cool white and orange tech they have yet. Anyway, that would happen. I think it would be a pretty big shock for the Avali and the human, because the Avali would be like, okay, these guys are tall. I know, like, Avali are small, I get it, but damn, these people are pretty tall and weird looking. And the humans would be like, these guys are small and weird looking, but hey, we get along. And I think the Avalis would definitely give humanity some help, namely fusion reactors. Just help us make our fusion reactors. But I'm also sure it would come with a pretty big warning on the package saying, if you misuse this tech, we're never talking to you again. And you'll never hear from us again. So be nice. Just calm down and everything. So all that would happen. And I think also eventually with the introduction of aliens, especially en masse, when the Avali fleet actually lands on Earth, I think this might be a big wake-up call for humanity to get its shit together. to stop all the needless wars, stop all the petroleum usage, all of that. And eventually humanity would be united. Now, I don't really have a good name for the unification of Earth, so I'm just going to call it the United Earth Faction, or United Humanity Faction, something like that. And also, I don't have a flag design. Same thing with the Zor flag. We have the Avali flag, obviously, the tri-feather. So, that's humanity. They're very new to space travel. They would be going around some star systems that are close by and exploring. But eventually they would get better and better at it, especially when they make their own warp drives, basically reverse engineering Avali tech. And I don't think the Avali would mind. I think this would be inevitable. Or all their tech would be provided by the Zenithians, just really old Zenithian tech, so it's not, the new stuff. Anyway, all that being said, humanity would definitely visit Avalon. I don't think that would be a big problem. Of course, it would probably take a while for the governments to convince each other that this is okay. But what about like the Zenithian homeworlds? I don't think the Zenithians would technically have a homeworld. There is Epsilon 4 in their own lore where the embryos for the protogens and primogens are found and then grown. But is that really their homeworld? Can you count that as their homeworld? I don't think so. I think their quote-unquote homeworlds might be only like space stations, maybe really large space stations. Anyway, so with all of this happening, you would have civilians of Avalon on Earth, civilians from Earth on Avalon, and I don't know what you would have to do to get your citizenship on Avalon if you're a human, and vice versa if you're an Avali going to Earth. I don't know what you would have to do to get your civilianship on Earth. I don't think it would be too hard. Maybe just like pass a test or something. Maybe like a background check. But whatever. All that being said, this is shaping up to be a pretty cool sci-fi world, isn't it? It almost sounds like it could be a show. Anyway. So, what next? Well, honestly, I don't really know. I've only written this much, and, well, I think it's great. I think it's honestly great. Do I think any of these factions would try and war with each other? No. No. The whole idea of, alien species going to war with humanity is kind of stupid when you think about it, because, one, if the alien races wants a fight, humanity is the worst for it because we'd get crushed. And two, why would you do that? It just makes you look bad. Like you attack these poor primitive people. What the hell, man? Rude. Anyway, it'd be a really, really cool, either story series or like an animated series, this sort of thing with the three main superpowers of the galaxy, the Zor being the biggest, followed by the Avali Illuminite, and then the humans. It'd be cool. It'd be really cool. I would love to see something like this. Anyway, this is just my interpretation of it. And remember, this is basically just fan stories right now when it comes to a fan-made race. So it's fanception. So let me know what you think of this. I think it did a pretty good job when it comes to, bringing three different races, three different civilizations together. Two of them being, the Avali and the protogens and primogens, the Zenithians, as I like to call them. Isn't it just so much better to say Zenithian other than, just saying primogen, protogen? Doesn't it just sound so much better? It really does. I call them Zenithians because Zenith out of reach. Zenith Zenithians. Anyway, that's about it. I don't really have much else to add. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this, and I think it's pretty cool, honestly. I mean, I am biased. I did write it, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, in Trilby, we trust.